What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from Zoom again, and this time we are here with Tuomas of Amberian Dawn. It is great to be able to talk with you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. It's so great to have you here. We got this amazing ABBA tribute, Take a Chance. This is incredible. Way to bring a new life into an absolutely classic man. First thing is always first. Was this intended to just hold people over while we wait for a follow-up to Looking for You? Or was this something that you guys have always had a vision for and just finally had the time to make?
Well, I think they all started in 2018 when we were touring in Europe with the Lacuna Coil, and we started to play this one ABBA song on live. It was "The Lay All Your Love on Me," and we got really great response from audience. And also after we released the song on our previous album, it got really. I think we got a lot of good response from audience and media. So also many people encouraged us to make more ABBA songs. Even our record label told us, why don't you make a whole ABBA cover album? And eventually we just decided to do it because it was so fun doing the first one. So why not make more? And here we are with full album.
And it was definitely worth the wait, I must say. Do you feel like maybe you have a different attachment to this as opposed to your albums of original material? Do you almost like relate to this differently, or it hits you differently because you are covering another artist's material, or does it resonate with you in the same way that we would hear on an album such as Darkness of Eternity or Magic Forest, Circus Black, etc.?
Mm, I think the process was quite the same. It was actually like making our own music. So there was not so much difference in the whole process. We did all the things in the same way we usually do when we are recording music. So first phase is always like I'm making first demo at my home studio, which you can see behind me, a part of it at least. So the first phase is always I make the first demo by myself. Then the rest of the band kicks in. So after the first demo, we all kind of together we make the final arrangements. Also, the whole recording process went in the same way. We used the same studios, same mixing engineer, for example. So it really felt like making own music.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel the music is really kind of combination of ABBA and our own, and it's something new.
Definitely. I think there's times where like you see bands cover a song and it's no like shade on it, but sometimes people you it goes one of two ways. You either copy the song exactly how it was originally made, or you take the song and put your own original spin on it. And I think you definitely have done the latter in a way. But did maybe exploring other material on a technical level with instrumentation maybe expose you to maybe some uncharted territory that we could see in Amberian Dawn in the future?
Mm, first, I think with this cover album, we decided to keep some of the elements as original as possible. For example, vocal lines are exact same as they were on the ABBA originals. Also, the keyboard parts are quite close to the original. And this was quite challenging for me as keyboardist because it's really hard to achieve the sound of ABBA with keyboards because Benny Andersson used this old gear, old synthesizers, which were made in 70s and 80s, old gear. So for me, it was difficult to get the exact same sound. And eventually I made a decision that I don't want to make the sound exactly the same, but I want to accomplish something of the little of the magic, same feeling, you know. I think I got quite close with the sound, not exact same, but close. And the feeling is the is most important thing. And I think I achieved the feeling. And rest of the stuff like drums and bass and guitars, um, I'm proud of our bandmates, my bandmates, because they're able to played so different kind of music. And also with this ABBA music, they were able to put their own effort in the sound and the arrangement. So in the end, we got a really nice combination of our. We all took part of the arrangement work eventually. It's our how you say, it was also like our own child, which we made together. Really strange to make a child with five people, but I think it's our child.
Definitely. And one final question I wanted to ask about this ABBA offering is, I was actually in Sweden for the very first time ever this past summer, and you could see that ABBA has just as much of an inspiration on Sweden as it does in as heavy metal does. And when it comes to Finland, where Amberian Dawn is from, did ABBA have, historically speaking, just as much of an impact in? I mean, they've had an impact on the whole world of music, but like, has ABBA also influenced a lot of artists in Scandinavia or in Finland as well? Because when I listen to a band in Finland, such as Him, for example, I feel like it has that same sort of like romantic nature that ABBA would have, and I feel like the epic nature of bands like Amberian Dawn or Nightwish are also maybe kind of influenced a little bit by ABBA as well.
I was so young when ABBA was in front. It was 70s and 80s, and I'm born in the 70s, so I haven't been around witnessing the whole story when ABBA was really active. But as far as now, ABBA was also very big here, like it was in whole Scandinavia. And people like me who are born in the 70s, we were young adults in the late 80s or in the beginning of 90s. For us, it was a time after ABBA broke up, but the music was still quite much, it was, you heard a lot of ABBA music everywhere. It was in radios, in TVs. So I've grown up while listening to ABBA music, and I know that many people who are playing heavy metal music likes ABBA because it's so melodic music. Also, I know many metal musicians here have also classical background. For the same reason, because the traditional heavy metal music, which is, I mean, heavy metal of 80s and 90s, is melodic, really melodic metal. Bands like Iron Maiden, Halloween, etc. Those are very melodic metal bands, and I think all of those bands and these bands have taken some influence for ABBA and classical music. And you also mentioned him and Ville Valo. In fact, I once talked with him about his connection with ABBA music, and I found out that he has also recorded one ABBA song. If I remember right, the song was Knowing Me, Knowing You.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about it, and I asked Will, is he going to make more ABBA songs in the future? And he says no. He was happy with just one song, but I went further personally, and I wanted to make a whole album,
Yeah.
not just one song.
You upstage Billy Vallo in the ABBA universe. Now moving with Amberian Dawn, I feel like Amberian Dawn has been a band. People have categorized Amberian Dawn in the whole symphonic metal, power metal. I'm not a fan of the whole genre thing, but like when you like compare an album such as River of Tony, and you look at Re-Evolution and Magic Forest to the present with Looking for You, has Amberian Dawn always taken a new approach to every single album, or was there a lot of experimentation involved within your songwriting over the years?
Mm. I think we have two major eras here. The first one started when we had Heidi Parviainen as our lead singer. That was really different time for me, because when we started Amberian Dawn, I was quite fresh in the metal band business. I didn't have so much experience playing in bands, and I didn't have any experience at all for writing music for a metal band. So our debut album, River of Tuoni, was basically my first metal album. So it was all new to me. the whole thing. Also, my bandmates were also, all of those were really novice, newbies in the business. So we started the whole thing by learning all those things. Maybe that's the reason our first four albums, which were with Heidi Parvian, and they are quite in the same style. They are kind of power metal music and symphonic metal style. And I didn't change it so much. But after we changed singer, we got Capri as our lead singer. After the change, I've been also making more experiments with different kind of styles. I in fact haven't studied so much, but now you're mentioning that change, I started to think it might be that I've been more brave experimenting with our new singer, Capri.
And you led me perfectly into the next question, because next year is going to be 10 years of Re-Evolution, which I can't believe. It's that crazy. And I'll admit that that was actually the Amberian Dawn album that I discovered you guys on. I was a little bit of a late bloomer in a way. But kind of turning back the clock a little bit, what you said, you were able to experiment so much, being that Re-Evolution is the first album with Capri on vocals. How would you say that? Would you consider that to be like a turning point in what we would hear on, the 4 or 5 Amberian Dawn albums that would come after that?
Yeah, it's definitely turning points, the Revolution album, because we also, in fact, I realize now that some of the songs on our Circus Black album, which were one before, there's already some songs like Cold Kiss and stuff like that, which would have been better to do with Capri in the first place. But I think the Circus Black was quite strange album because I was maybe starting to shifting into more pop metal already, just a tiny amount. But our singer was not right for that kind of music. So maybe that's the reason why I felt it's so important to make some of the songs again with Capri on the Revolution album, because I felt some of the songs were, in fact, they were more like pop metal and not so much symphonic metal. And I think those songs were better for Capri. So I'm happy that we did the album Revolution. It was really a turning point for the whole process, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to you for your songwriting process, because you are a very you're like a jack of all trades, and you have many different talents, from guitars to keyboards, that you incorporate. Do you find it maybe easier to come up with ideas for Amberian Dawn when you're in the company of your fellow bandmates, or isolation being such a great fuel for creativity, you prefer to come up with ideas and write music when you're more alone in your own element?
Isolation. I like to be by myself when I'm writing music. I don't like that there's anybody even near. I close the doors, and I might get even annoyed when someone comes in when I'm doing music. I don't know what's the reason for it. It's always been like that. Maybe I'm a little ashamed of doing something which is not ready. When you're improvising something, as you are probably also a musician, when you are improvising, there might be some bad things, some good things, and maybe I don't like that someone comes in when I'm doing something silly,
Of
playing
course.
something really bad, something not working, or maybe I'm demoing some song I'm doing, the first phase of the demo song doing, and it doesn't sound great yet because it's all in the beginning. I don't want anyone to hear those things. So I like to be alone. Also, I get a lot of ideas when I'm, for example, jogging in the forest or driving my car. Um, for example, one time I was jogging in the forest, and while I was running, I just started to hear one song inside my head. It was Chanel's Ball. It was on our Circus Black album. I just started to hear the main riff inside my head. And when I got home, I had the whole song almost ready.
Wow.
I just made it inside my head during jogging. It doesn't work always like this. It changes a lot. Sometimes I get ideas when I'm improvising with keyboards or guitar, so it changes a lot.
Of course. And sometimes inspiration strikes at the most inconvenient of times as well, I must say. But when it comes to the work of Amberian Dawn, because I feel like your an Amberian Dawn album is like when I open up that CD and I listen to it, it is almost kind of like I'm not just going into a metal album that's epic to listen to, but it almost seems like that there's a lot of exploration involved. Like I get a lot of imagery with album titles such as End of Eden, Circus Black, the Magic Forest or the River of Tony, like, or the Clouds of the Northland Thunder. Like there's so much imagery within your titles. Would you consider an Amberian Dawn album to be just as much of a conceptual, to have a very conceptual nature in a way? Are you trying to convey an essence of imagery for a listener as well, or do you just want the listener to focus on just the music?
I think I just concentrate on music, and I don't like the lyrics at all. I think there's something, it just has to be there, and I don't like to write lyrics. That's why I have always used our singer for this lyric writing. Also, I don't like the visual things so much. There's been only a couple of times when I have some vision about our cover art, maybe 2 or 3 times, and I've tried to describe some ideas for our graphic designer, but I don't like to do it so much. I just like to make music, and in fact, I almost hate lyrics because I don't know why. When I'm listening to music, I also don't listen to lyrics at all. I just listen to music and arrangements. Many times when people are listening to their favorite music, they usually know the words by heart. They can start to sing the song. They know the words. I don't know any words. Even if one of my favorite songs ever, which I liked the most, I don't know the lyrics. Some words there and there, they don't mean anything to me.
You know what? That's a different type of answer. And it's funny you say that. I interviewed Max Cavalera one time, and I think his lyrics have always been very thought provoking, as they could be sometimes political or spiritual or internal or external. But like he says, he doesn't like writing the lyrics. I mean, I've heard plenty of people say that lyrics are like homework in a way, and it is very difficult to incorporate in there. And the final question I wanted to ask you is the most difficult one, though. How do you know when you're finished with a song?
Um, it's ready when I have finished the demo and send it to my bandmates, and then it's ready. It's easy. Okay, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean because uh, when you are making new songs and if you are making the demos by yourself and you are doing all the drums and basses and guitars, etc., you can really do it forever. You can make one song maybe in 1 hour or 10 hours or even 100 hours, and you can continue forever because if you are not, if you're really perfectionist is the word. If you're looking for just some perfect, you are never ready. You just continue, arrange it more and more and more, and you're never happy with the results. But you can't be too much perfectionist. You must at some time you just have to stop and make a decision. This is it, the first version at least. But for me, it's also great because I have my excellent bandmates who are able to continue with the arrangement work. So if I have a good song which has good melody, maybe something good elements, but they're lacking some good guitar riffs, for example, then our guitarist might have some ideas for that guitar riff. So that kind of thing.
Of course. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today and for this amazing, again, Take a Chance is one of the best tribute albums. I can't wait. More people need to hear this, and I think it's going to get a whole new generation into ABBA as well. Is there just anything else with Amberian Dawn that you would like to promote in terms of tours, or can we be expecting a full length follow up of original music to Looking for You soon?
Well, I don't know anything about our future yet, but I think I'm going to continue with new music next year, maybe writing some new stuff. But I'm not in a hurry to doing anything. I think I'm just too, how do you say, we are still in the releasing process, and there's so much to do. All I can think about is this releasing process. So I don't have time for, in fact, I don't have time for making new music because musicians are not machines. Every time you have some time, you just cannot start making music. It doesn't work like that way. You don't have to be in the right mood. You have to be relaxed, maybe in the right conditions, so you are able to make music. Right now, I think I'm too anxious about the whole new album process. So maybe I'll start making music next year, and it's even possible that we are making a new album during next year. But let's see. Also, I don't know about the touring yet. I'm hoping that we are able to make shows in US also. We've been once before in the 17,000 tons of metal,
Yeah,
which is almost in US.
yeah,
It was near near US. In fact, I think the ship departed from US. It
yeah,
was in Miami, from Miami.
yeah. You should.
So I hope to see US people on shows if it's going to be possible someday.
We would love to have you here, but thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Amberian Dawn. Be sure to check out their epic new covers album, feature "Take a Chance," a metal tribute to ABBA. We will see you next time on Heavy New York.